Hello and welcome to DCD episode number 25, copying your stream intro. How you doing, Alex?
I'm doing pretty good. That was a little jarring.
So
I don't know what to think about that.
how's your past week been?
Really stressful, man. Work has been insane. Content creation has taken a complete backseat as a result. And, yeah, kind of stinks, but it will pass. Things will go back to normal eventually, and hopefully I'll be able to do some pre-recorded videos, stream a little bit more, have a little bit less stress in my life. How are things going for you?
I took a little vacation, and by vacation I mean I drove an hour to get stuff done. So kind of it. I don't know how to take that. Watched a minor league baseball game for 3 innings, and then got rained off, which is awesome.
Ooh.
Good old Bowling Green Hot Rods.
It's always
home
a
of.
it's always a bad time when the game gets rained out.
But I got free tickets at any point. I bring that ticket back. And
Okay.
the Hot Rods, best single A team. They won the championship last year. Blake Snell played for them.
Cool.
Pretty decent. And also my the whole gambling addiction. I gotta change bookies because whole ordeal with my bookie screwing people over apparently.
Wait, what? Please
Yeah.
expand on this.
So it's not gonna affect me, but it's
Uh-huh.
affecting other people. So I'm gonna get out before the company shuts down. Because do you know who El Presidente from Barstool is? Or David Portney?
Hmm.
They screwed him over out of hundreds of thousands of dollars. Because if you sign up for the bookie,
Mm-hmm.
and you whenever you sign up for these bookies, you can accept a bonus to 50% of what you put in. They'll give it to you.
Yeah.
But with that, there's a rollover requirement. So for him to take that money out, he has to bet it's something like 300 more times with hundreds of $1,000s. And it's basically you can't get your money out.
That's
So-
very weird.
Switching over to Bovado, which is the cream of the crop of the online gambling community.
I might join you there soon. Been thinking about doing it. Just bet against the Marlins all the time, and boom, I'll make all my money.
Maybe not every night, but
they're
most nights.
they're pretty bad, Andy. So
Yeah, but they make it to where the money line doesn't.
well,
To
yeah,
where
I
if
know.
you consistently bet on them, you'll lose money.
Yeah, I was just messing around. Honestly, I just wanted to get a little jab in there at my Marlins.
If I bet
and
them against the
Derek
Red
Jeter.
Sox, I'd win money too because they're awful.
I don't know, man. I think they'll turn it around. I saw an article on ESPN where they were like 6 games into the season, and ESPN was like, "Can the Red Sox turn it around?" And I'm like, it's a 162 game season, like 6 games in. Of course they could turn it around. How is this an article? It's so weird. But
Yeah. It's 'cause
ESPN
they
must
were
have been a slow
scheduled,
news day.
One of the reasons is because they were scheduled. The first 11 games were away games,
Yeah.
and then the momentum has been just shoved into the dirt, where they're now 6-13 as of recording this.
Yeah, I hate when teams get scheduled for an inordinate amount of road games. So, for example, the NFL schedule released today, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will basically play from the end of September all the way through the beginning of November on the road. It's insane that anybody would have a team on the road that long. And, of course,
Oakland
one of those games is in London because, everybody loves those.
doesn't play in Oakland until November.
See, I hate when that happens. Like, because
Speaking of the schedule,
yeah.
I'll let you continue. Mine is a little off point.
Well, I was just going to say in 96, when the Buccaneers were building a new stadium, they went the whole first month of the season. I want to say their first 4 games were on the road because construction got delayed on that stadium, and it wrecked their entire season. I just wanted to point that out. Anyway, go ahead, Andy.
Speaking of the NFL schedule,
Yeah.
Week 1, our team's going head and head. in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I actually have a 49ers fan that is a friend of mine here in Orlando, and we may go catch that game if the ticket prices are okay. Even though it's a season opener, it might be a little expensive, but it might be an excuse to go to Tampa and go watch a Bucks game. So, go Bucks.
What's better than an excuse to go to Tampa?
Well, I do love Tampa. I think it's a great city. I argued with some people on Twitter about it recently. I am a native Floridian. You guys know that. I've lived in the Orlando area my whole life. I'm very passionate about the state, the city, etc. I am proud to be a Floridian. And if I wasn't living in Central Florida and you told me, Alex, you have to pick another city to live in, I'd probably pick Tampa because I've been there many, many times and enjoyed it every single time I've been there. And I think it's a lovely city.
From the cities in Florida I've been to, I think I'd like to live in Sarasota. Because
Sarasota's nice.
People and super chill.
Yeah, Sarasota's nice. St. Pete's nice. Jacksonville is good. There are some sections of Jacksonville that get a little rough, but that goes with any big city.
That's for all cities.
Also, gotta say, Tallahassee, nice.
I've only driven through Tallahassee.
Yeah, it's real nice. Real nice. Surprisingly quiet for a capital city, but it's nice. So
I've only been to Ocoee, Sarasota, maybe Dayton. I don't know.
Daytona's nice too. Just expensive.
Dayton. That's what I meant. Daytona.
Oh, it's expensive to live in Daytona though.
After I said it, I was like, "What?"
Daytona's right by the beach,
Dayton,
so
Ohio.
obviously it's very expensive to live there. Anyway, let's move into. We didn't do listener questions this week, other than the listener question from last week, because we realized this one would take a lot of time. It's our NFL mock draft through pick number 10.
And also, this will be the last podcast before the NFL draft, so it's perfect timing.
I'm going to edit that to where there's like a long pause after last podcast. So everybody thinks like it's canceled. They did 25 episodes. It's over.
We brought it back to end on a perfect number, 25.
Yeah. Like when you're pumping the gas and you're like, I need to end on an even number. I'm that weird guy. I like to end on an even number. Anyway.
I don't think that's a weird thing. I think a majority of people do that.
I think they do too, because like when I sit there and I pump gas, you're sitting there, you're just waiting, right? So unless you're in one of those states where they pump the gas for you. So a lot of times I'll like watch people, and a lot of people do the same thing. Like I'll see people and they're just sitting there trying to get that perfect number. It's just a weird thing. You
get the perfect number and you get that little tiger fist bump.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. Like, I mean, I'm the same way when I write a tip at a restaurant. I'll usually round up to the next dollar, so that way I tip a little bit more than 20%, because I'm always a big fan of if the service is good, and generally it is. There are very few times I tip less than 20%. I like to round up, so it goes a little bit beyond the 20%.
I'm the type of guy where you have to earn my tip. Tip isn't guaranteed.
No, I'm with you on that. I think you got to earn it. But here in Florida, what I will say is this: most of our economy is based on service industry. Yeah. So the people down here are really, really like good about giving good service, and I mean, they're kind of used to tourists.
I'll tip you well.
Yeah.
Like I'll tip you more than 20%.
It's also worth saying, like, I hang out at a lot of the same places, so they kind of know me. Because I mean, Ocoee's kind of a small town, so like they got to get to know you, and they give you good service because of that, that kind of thing. So yeah, anyway,
we head over to the NFL draft.
Yeah, NFL mock draft. Let's get into it.
Question from Bobby Clark. The question is, if you didn't listen last week,
at Cuban Slim on Twitter,
mock draft by each of you for at least the first 10 picks.
Yeah.
So the first 10 picks, starting off with probably one that I'm going to assume is going to be unanimous. All right, first off, I would say this. Mm-hmm. Are we doing trades? No trades or trades?
I have one trade, but I'm literally saying if they don't trade, they're going to pick this. But if they do, they're going to do this.
Right. Well, the first pick, that's the only one that I potentially have a trade.
Yeah.
But the Arizona Cardinals, or I think the trade's going to happen, the Oakland Raiders.
Ooh.
Both selecting Kyler Murray from Oklahoma.
That's intriguing. I didn't see the Raiders as a potential move up type of team. I think there are some. Oakland makes sense to a point. I would also say Miami, possibly.
They got rid of Tannehill.
And I've heard rumblings of potentially Jacksonville. Again, I think that's really far-fetched now that they have Foles. At number 1, I have the Cardinals taking Kyler Murray. But with that being said, and I'm not like trying to play both ends of the fence here, I do think that they may be doing what a lot of teams do with the number 1 overall pick and pretending that they're in love with Kyler Murray in the hopes of getting something to where they can trade down and get additional assets.
I think what they're doing is letting everyone know that they're selecting Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
And they're like, either trade for the pick if you want it, because we have Josh Rosen. We wouldn't mind having him. But if they have the pick, they're going to pick Kyler and then trade Josh Rosen.
Yeah.
To a team like the New York Football Giants.
I will say this. If I was running the Arizona Cardinals, the guy I would pick with number 1 is the guy who I have going number 2. So, who's your number 2 pick?
Drafted number 2. My San Francisco 49ers select Nick Bosa, defensive end of Ohio State. Absolute beast. Was unanimous number 1 on everyone's board after week 1 of the season because Ed Oliver was number 1 guy last year. We're looking forward to the next draft last year. Everyone was like Ed Oliver, but basically when the season started, Nick Bosa was on everyone's board. Nick Bosa is a beast, no injury concerns, and he looks better than Joey.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. I have Nick Bosa by and far the best prospect coming out in this draft. I like Ed Oliver a lot. You guys will see that in a moment. But if I'm Arizona, I would be taking Nick Bosa. I think he's a guy who's going to give you, as long as you retain him, 10 years of solid production. I think that even if he comes in the league and he gives you what Joey Bosa gives the Chargers, you immediately...
that's awful. That sucks.
I mean, well, no, but what I'm saying is, like, Joey has been a big difference maker for the Chargers defensively. If that's his ceiling, and I think his ceiling's a little bit bigger, you've got a good player that you can kind of build around for a very long time. So I have San Francisco taking Nick Bosa here, and they can't believe their luck that Arizona somehow got talked into Kyler Murray.
If your hypothetical standpoint of the Cardinals taking Nick Bosa, I think the 49ers should trade the pick.
I just don't see Arizona doing that. I think I honestly think this. I think either Arizona takes Kyler Murray or they trade down and somebody else trades into the number 1 pick to take Kyler Murray. And it's the most bizarre situation I've ever seen. I think it's like such a boom or bust type pick because he's 5'8". Like, let's just be real.
I've said it in the past. He's not going to be good. Like,
he's 5'8" as a quarterback.
Everything. Like, I really want him to be a good player. I never wish failure upon anyone. But on paper, he's not going to be a good quarterback.
I hope I'm wrong. I'm with you. I hope I'm wrong. I don't want him to fail. I just think that this is such a boom or a bust pick. And the expectations on this young man are going to be immense, even more so than if he was playing baseball, where he got drafted very highly in baseball. He was like, what was he, number 6 pick, number 7 pick, very high. He was a first rounder in baseball. But I think either Arizona takes Murray or somebody trades into that spot and takes him. San Francisco, if you're San Francisco, you can't believe your luck. You got Nick Bosa. You know, don't screw it up.
Yeah.
Who do you have at number 3?
I have the New York Jets selecting Josh Allen, edge rusher out of University of Kentucky.
Ooh. I don't even have Josh Allen in my top 10. I have them taking Ed Oliver.
I don't have Ed Oliver in my top 10.
There's so here's what makes this mock draft tough for me. There's so many good defensive linemen in here,
Yeah.
especially edge rushers too. That some people consider defensive linemen depending on what scheme they're playing in. I like Ed Oliver. I think he's by and far. I have him as my number 2 prospect in this draft defensively. I think that he brings a lot to the Jets. I think Greg Williams will be able to do a lot of good work with him, just as he did with a young Aaron Donald. So I like Ed Oliver here for the Jets. But you know what? Josh Allen makes sense too.
You know, the thing about Ed Oliver, it's one thing it's like a small little, like, if I could have one player go to one team, it'd be really fun to see him go to Houston, because he was born and raised there, and then he went to Houston. It'd just be like a fun thing. But, you know, it may or may not happen. They don't have really a pick to, you know.
They're pretty far down, aren't they, Houston? I mean, they made the playoffs, so they got to be in the 20s somewhere. Oakland.
All right.
Who do you got for Oakland?
Number 4, the Oakland Raiders. I have Quinnen Williams, Roll Tide. Interior defensive lineman.
I have Quinnen Williams here too. I like him a lot. I think that he's another really solid guy. I would put him right there with Ed Oliver and Nick Bosa. I think he's a guy who can make an impact for you on defense for 10 years. Quinnen Williams reminds me a lot of, just in terms of his ceiling and what he could mean to a franchise. I think he could be like Gerald McCoy is in Tampa Bay, where he's a guy who is kind of the anchor of a D-line for an extended period of time and does a lot of great things for you. So just a great draft if you're going for D-line guys.
I was thinking about flipping my 4 and 5, giving Quinnen to the Bucks, and running him in more of a like Fletcher Cox role, which he could do. He
could.
Because I really think that the Oakland Raiders could draft the guy that I have going to Tampa, in which I have Devin White, linebacker from LSU. A super speedy guy, extremely fast defensive linebacker, and the Raiders have a bunch of slow dudes, and the Bucks would be happy to have him, as losing Quan Alexander in the offseason. Throw another speedy linebacker on the team.
Yeah, I actually have a lot of thoughts about the Tampa Bay pick, because there are some really good options here. I like Devin White. I've seen him tied very heavily to Tampa Bay. They are obviously switching to a 3-4 hybrid scheme.
That's what I was thinking about Quinnen.
Yeah, and like I think, you know, Quinnen Williams, if he falls, is somebody they'd look at. I also think that Devin White obviously would be somebody you could bring in and find multiple roles for him to play. He's very well versed, you know, as far as what he can do in a couple different positions. I actually, this is the pick that I told you I think they're going to trade down. I could see Tampa Bay trading down here to the mid-10s, like the mid-teens, to get Greedy Williams. That would be my pick. I think the Bucks need tremendous help in the secondary, specifically at the cornerback position. I think Greedy Williams would provide them with immediate help. So if you could trade down to like 13 or 14, where Greedy Williams is projected by most people. Some people have him projected in 20s. I'm sure they could do the footwork on that and figure it out. But if you could trade down and get a couple extra picks, that might help. That would be my preferred choice. If not, I honestly think they're going to take Montez Sweat.
Yeah.
I like that pick too. But you know what? If they get
huge combine,
if they get Devin White, or if they get Montez Sweat, or they trade down and get Greedy Williams, or let's just say they take Quinnen Williams because he falls to him.
Yeah.
Any of those are great choices. So but yeah, I think they trade down. I think they're going to get Greedy Williams. I think that's a good pick for them.
Like potentially pick up another first round pick next year, or more draft capital.
Even a second rounder would help, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So who do you have going at 6?
I got into a bit of a Twitter argument between a former teacher of mine over this pick. He's a New York Giants fan.
Yeah.
And hold on, let me pull up the tweet real fast. I'll let you. Who are you going with so I can pull up this tweet real fast?
I know recently they have the Giants taking the kid out of Duke. I have
Daniel
them.
Jones.
Yeah, I have them taking Dwayne Haskins. I like
All right,
Dwayne Haskins there.
Here's my tweet, which kind of is funny that you went there. To quote myself, it's honestly incredible how the sports community can almost unanimously be dumb on one topic. The Giants shouldn't draft a quarterback. One, it would be a waste of a pick because 100% he'll fail with the garbage team around him. And why would you get an okay quarterback now when you get a great one next year? If I were Gettleman, I would rather trade the 6th pick or just overhaul the entire team with the draft capital they already have before focusing on quarterback, similar to how the Browns in 2017 went Myles Garrett and then built around a quarterback. They did pick Kaiser later in the draft, but that was kind of like a shoot for the moon, and then got Baker the next year.
Okay, so I would disagree with you on 1 point and 1 point alone. If they're drafting a guy to start next year, I agree with you. If they're drafting a guy that can sit on the bench while Eli Manning finishes out the twilight of his career, I think Dwayne Haskins is a good move here. I like Dwayne Haskins a lot. I think he's got a great arm. I think he's very good in the pocket. I think that he would fit what New York would like their offense to be, right? He's very good at making quick decisions, getting the ball out soon. He'd be a great pairing with Barkley. I do think starting, if you were to draft Drew Lock is another guy they've tied with the Giants. Daniel Jones or Dwayne Haskins. If you're going to start any three of them, you're going to ruin them. I think the receiving core in New York is really abysmal since OBJ's gone. The tight end that they have in God, what's his name? I can never remember his name.
Evan Ingram.
Evan Ingram, always injured, unfortunately. All the talent in the world, super inconsistent, and has injury issues. And the O-line is really rough. You don't want to put a rookie quarterback there. I don't like that move. But
in the next 5 years, who's better? Dwayne Haskins, Drew Lock, Daniel Jones, or the guy out of Oregon this year, his name escapes me, or Tua and Jake Fromm? Who's better in 5 years? I'd put all my money on all three of the guys next year than the guys this year.
No, I agree with you, but I think that Dwayne Haskins will... I think Dwayne Haskins is the one guy in this draft I feel like is a sure bet if you develop him correctly to be a great pro quarterback. So I have them taking Dwayne Haskins and benching him. But you
finally getting my pick.
Yeah.
The guy that will be more of an impact player now and more of an impact in the future, in my opinion. I may be wrong. You can quote me on it later, but I have Montez Sweat, as previously discussed, out of Mississippi State.
It's a good pick. It's a good pick either way. Number 7, who do you have?
We have the team's biggest disappointment last year. But they got a new quarterback in Nick Foles, and something that made him special with the Eagles is he always had a dynamic tight end on his side, something that the Jacksonville Jaguars don't have. They have a nice receiving core, but I had them going with Noah Fant, tight end out of Iowa. Absolutely insane receiver at the tight end position. Some people say his blocking could be like he could work on his blocking, but that's not why they're drafting him. They're drafting him to receive the ball and be a nice plug right down the middle.
So I have them taking Jawan Taylor. I think they want some O-line help. They've struggled at both tackle positions, mostly due to injuries, sometimes due to consistency. I think Jawan Taylor could shore that up. Obviously, with Nick Foles, as opposed to Blake Bortles, who had a little bit of mobility, Nick Foles is not exactly what I would call mobile. So I think that's their pick here. I will say this. Jacksonville, sometimes they go a little too heavy on certain positions. I could see them taking a D-line guy here just for the sake of taking another D-line guy. I could also see them somehow trading down or maybe even taking a halfback with this pick because the Fournette situation and all that. They seem to really hone it. It's like such a Tom Coughlin thing.
I don't think there's a top-tier halfback in this draft, though.
I know.
You trade him down.
I know, but I could see them trading down. I think Jawan Taylor is the right pick for them right here, though. So, number 8, who do you have?
I like that there's a lot of disparity between our picks.
There is quite a bit. There is quite a bit.
Which is, like, I'm not crapping on your picks, but it's just like this.
Your picks suck.
Yeah.
No.
Mox can go anywhere.
No, but, like, the truth is there's a lot of defensive talent at the top of this draft, which is really cool because we haven't had a draft like this in a long time. And
you know about the 3-year NFL draft rule?
What do you mean?
There's always a great draft, an okay draft, and then a horrible draft. Last year, I believe, was the horrible edge on the. I don't remember, but there's I don't have the facts to bring it back up. But like, for example, like 2013, worst draft ever. You can argue the 2013 NFL draft was horrible.
You know what? I see what you're saying. There have been some stinkers every couple of years. It seems like
the year after, Jadeveon Clowney, Khalil Mack, Mike Evans. But then you go to 2015. That's the year where you have. Actually, 2015 is pretty much a stinker. But I don't know. I don't have the examples. It's just the thing that people say about it. It's not really a huge formula.
Yeah, I like this draft. There's a lot of defensive opportunities. Chalky milk time. So,
but as I said, with the disparity and all that, a guy that you said you want the Bucks to have, I have Greedy Williams going 8 to the Detroit Lions.
That's fair. I actually have the guy you picked to go to the Bucks going to the Lions in Devin White. And I like him in Detroit. I think that he could make an impact there.
Yeah. Devin White's he's a beast.
He could do a lot of stuff for you.
Both at LSU.
Yeah.
And then number 9, I have a guy that I, for some reason, feel like Oakland may draft. It's just because it's the Oakland thing to do.
Yeah.
By the Buffalo Bills selecting DK Metcalf, wide receiver, Ole Miss.
I almost went with that one, and I like DK Metcalf a lot. I do not think that he's strictly a combine warrior, but I do not have him in my top 10. I did almost put him here with Buffalo. I have TJ Hawkinson as the Buffalo Bills pick here. I love his name. I think that the Bills want a solid tight end. They've been lacking one for a while, and I think that it would be a very good security blanket for the young quarterback, Josh Allen, as opposed to the edge rusher, Josh Allen. But I have TJ Hawkinson going here. Oh, we're going to keep rolling it up. So I'm going to roll into number 10, as Andy apparently can't talk right now. At number 10, I know this is not going to be a very popular pick. I know a lot of people have Denver selecting at number 10 and taking a linebacker or an edge rusher or some kind of defensive player. I have them taking Drew Lock because I think John Elway wants a long-term quarterback prospect in Denver because Joe Flacco and Case Keenum are Band-Aids. They are temporary solutions.
What? Sorry, dogs are barking.
Case Keenum isn't even on the team anymore. Why did I say that?
TJ Hawkinson, by the way, Iowa, tight end U, best tight end in the league, Greg Kittle, went to Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
They have 2 first-rounders, insane. But I have the Denver Broncos going somewhere else, and I have Jawan Taylor going there.
That's a good pick. That's a good pick because if he falls to them, you're going to want an elite tackle considering you got the statue, Joe Flacco, heaving passes in Mile High Stadium.
I forgot to mention this earlier about the Oakland trading up for Kyler. Another reason I would really want that to happen is because they have Trent Brown, an absolute monster of a human being, and they're playing him at guard now.
Yeah.
I really want to see them try to pass over 6'8" Trent Brown.
It's part of the problem with being that short. Doug Flutie definitely struggled with that in his NFL career. And if you don't believe me, go back and watch game tape. He used to jump as he was throwing sometimes to see over people. So,
you know how like there's the whole allegedly gunslinger makes you hit your O lineman in Madden? Kyler Gunslinger. You're not even gonna pass to the O line.
I would tell you that Kyler Murray would not be a use. Not that this is any indication whatsoever of his NFL prospects, but if you had a 5 foot, let's just say they mark him as 5'10" in Madden, he would not be usable in Madden. It wouldn't work. So I don't know.
Even think you can make your quarterback 5'10" in creative mode.
I think you can, but I mean, it's just so weird. And I say that as a guy who plays with Michael Vick, who I think stands 6 foot even. And by the way, Michael Vick is the originator of why people say gunslinger hits the back of your O-line, because when Mike Vick came out and people started putting gunslinger on him in Madden 17, I think it was, everybody was like, he's just hitting the back of the O-line's head.
Maybe I think 18.
I think it might have been 17, because 17, they premiered the gunslinger ability with Brett Favre. And I rocked that Brett Favre card for so long because it was so good that year.
Was it, though?
It was for me.
No. Was it 17?
I'm fairly certain it was 17.
Because if it was 17, then was there chemistries in 16? Because I don't think chemistries and abilities came the same year.
No, I think abilities started in 17.
So chemistries are in 16.
Yeah. Chem's been around since like 15.
Well, chem's actually mattering.
Chems mattered in 15, just not as much as they did in 16. In 16, they really started mattering, from what I remember.
I feel like I gotta be. I feel like it's 18 and 17. I don't know.
I'm looking this up right now.
You play Madden more than me, so you may be right. But I feel like, based off my YouTube career, I don't remember.
The years fly by, man. So I'm looking at it right now. They released Brett Favre in the Ultimate Freeze promo for Madden 17, and he was the first quarterback that had gunslinger on him.
I guess I'm remembering it wrong.
Dude, here, you know what? I'm really not trying to get on a Madden tangent here, but the games literally run all together because they're so similar.
It's the same game, just a roster update every time.
But I mean, listen. What did they really change? Yeah, look here, listen. What did they really change from Madden 18 to Madden 19, other than Frostbite engine stuff?
I know what they changed from 17 to 18.
What's that?
They made draft champions awful.
People don't even mess with draft champions anymore. Or MUT drafts or whatever.
It was a great game mode in the first game it was on, 16.
Dude, people
17.
used to do videos. I hated them. People used to do videos where they would just do the draft.
Yeah.
They wouldn't even play the games. That's how popular it was. So, I don't know. This year, they did a... I promise I'll stop talking about Madden after this. They did a MUT draft house rules event last week, and I hated it because the drafts take forever to get through, and they're so garbage. They've ruined it. Congrats, EA.
But the NFL draft, can't wait. Let's stop talking about sports. Get over to the entertainment field.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about Xbox One S digital only.
Again?
Yeah. Well, it got announced. The Xbox One.
We're light on topics today because of the draft, the mock draft.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Xbox One S digital only console releasing May 7th, 2019 at $249.99.
Uh-huh.
Your question is the pricing appropriate?
So before you... Okay. Go ahead.
because not only is it $250,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I mean, you're also it comes with Forza Horizon 3, Sea of Thieves, Minecraft. It comes with Game Pass for I don't remember how long,
A month.
but it comes with those games automatically downloaded.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just like I mean, you could make the other argument that it doesn't have a Blu-ray drive.
But it's $50 cheaper.
Yeah.
So here's where I'm at on this. And I probably should have put it in the show notes. So number one, I've been saying since day one, I will probably end up buying one of these because I need another Xbox in the house for my bedroom. So I'm probably going to get this one because it's the cheapest option. And it does 4K streaming.
I feel like the S is only 200 for some reason.
Because, well, that's my next point, Andy, and I'm glad you brought that up, because the Xbox One S, the MSRP on it is $299.99. However, during the holidays, sales events, things like that, they typically slash the price to $249 or as low as $199.99. And when they announced this, Major Nelson made a point to say, we will try as best as we can to make sure this stays $50 cheaper than the Xbox One S, the traditional version. Yeah. So conceivably, if the Xbox One S drops down to $199.99 during the holidays, this thing would be $150. I think it'll sell like hotcakes, and I will be buying one. I'll probably buy one at the regular price of $249, but if I haven't picked one up and it goes on sale and it's $199 or $149, I'm picking one up. I don't mind going completely digital for something that's going to sit in my bedroom and mostly stream Netflix, Hulu, and digital movies that I've purchased from buying 4K Blu-rays. And then I have a tremendous library of digital games that I would love to download to this thing. And to top it all off, it comes with, as you stated, Forza Horizon 3, Minecraft, Sea of Thieves, full games. I have Forza Horizon 3 already, but the other two I don't have. I think I think it's a slam dunk. I saw people on Twitter criticizing this move, saying the price was incorrect or that it was too high or anything like that. My thing is this: you have choices now. Choices are good for consumers. And if you're looking at the competition, the lowest SKU is $299.99 for a PS4. So I feel like it's kind of a move so that they can say Xbox One starting at $249. It's a marketing tool. And I think a lot of kids will love this, man. Like, if I had a kid who wanted an Xbox One, I'm on a budget, I don't want to buy a bunch of games. Here you go, Junior. It comes with 3 in the box.
Hypothetically 100 games.
Yeah, and then you get Game Pass. And not going to go too far into this, but they announced Xbox Live Ultimate, which is going to be $15 a month. And I assume it'll be like a lot of Xbox Live things where it'll go on sale from time to time. You can get a lower price. But at $15 a month, it's going to include your Xbox Live Gold membership and Game Pass. And I think that's kind of where we're moving in the Xbox platform. Game Pass is going to be part of the Gold subscription, which isn't such a bad thing.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is this the Xbox 360e of this generation?
Yes. Absolutely.
The final console.
It is the final console. This is, and I think this is, and I also told my wife I want this because I think it's going to be that weird console that people go, that was kind of weird. You did? Really?
I bought E after the Xbox One came out. It was only like $80 when I bought it too. It was pretty cheap.
They were hard to find.
Yeah,
because they were out for such a small amount of time. You didn't throw it in the snow, did you?
That was I threw my Xbox One in the snow.
That was an Xbox One?
Yeah.
I thought that was an Xbox 360 you threw in the snow.
Nope. That was my only Xbox One I've ever owned.
You're so crazy, man. Does it still work?
It's the one I still use today. It's the one I
so it still works. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. So yeah, Xbox One S, digital only, Xbox Maverick, as they were calling it, coming out May 7th. Can't wait. Can't wait. It's gonna be great. Gonna get it, and then 3 days later, I'll go see Detective Pikachu. So I guess we're gonna go on a film club next, right?
I guess.
Okay. Film club this week. It was the listener suggestion. Came to us from @dumbestsphinx on
I
Twitter.
guess it's too late.
What?
Star Wars trailer. Do you watch it?
Yeah.
Emperor Palpatine's back, baby.
Might be the only reason I see that movie.
I like him.
I like Palpatine.
I like the movies.
Am I terrible that this should be a poll for the listeners? Am I terrible that in episode 3 I kind of rooted? I knew he wasn't gonna win, but I kind of rooted for Palpatine. I'm like, at least I know what I get with Palpatine.
Episode 6.
The rest of them are kind of whiny. Yeah. Episode 6.
All right, sorry to cut you off. Back to Film Club.
Are you gonna see the new Star Wars?
Yeah, I'm a huge Star Wars nerd.
I didn't know that.
Not a huge nerd, but like I'm a big fan.
I did not know you were a big Star Wars fan. Shame on me. I saw episodes 1 through 6. I did not watch Solo. I did not watch.
I've seen all of them since episode 3 in theaters.
Yeah, I did not see Rogue One.
Old enough for the other ones.
And I haven't seen episode 7 or 8. I'll have to get
Solo.
caught up. I've heard they're on Netflix or something. I don't know.
Rogue One, of the newer generation, Rogue One's the best of the films.
I heard good
8's
things.
8's very polarizing, aka a lot of people hate it. I liked it.
So I've heard.
If you're gonna watch episode 8, I mean, this is bad to recommend this, but I would recommend skipping the casino scenes because they have nothing to do with the plot, and they're just filler.
Well,
It's like a solid 30 minutes of nothing.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I got to get caught up. I feel the same way about the Marvel Universe. The MCU is what they call it, I think. I am so far behind on that. I left off at Civil War.
These aren't good movies, but I like them.
Well, I mean, they're not classic film. And you know what? Here's what I will say about Star Wars. I feel like the original trilogy, I don't think they'll ever top it.
I don't think the original. If we're something I gotta say about how I rate things, or I rate things on how good of a movie they are and not how much I like them. I like the original trilogy, but they're not good. Like they're not that good of movies.
No.
I'm a fan of them, but they're not good movies.
I feel like if you take the original trilogy and you stack it up against episodes 1 through 3, and when it's all done, episodes 7 through 9, I think most people would pick the original.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean that's really the point I was trying to make. But you know, I get it. I don't think that these are a great film. I think that they're iconic. I think that it's something that is persistent in American pop culture. I don't know that I would necessarily call it great film.
To make more people angry listening, it's Michael Jordan of movies. It's really overhyped. And just because it was the best thing when you were a kid doesn't mean it's the best thing of all time.
That's fair. That's fair. I have to be cognizant of that with Star Trek, because like I love Star Trek, but I realize that the younger generations that consume media now don't care for Star Trek. They don't even know what it is in a lot of cases.
Oh,
so,
I don't.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So, moving on to DCD Film Club, we're doing The Lobster, made in 2015, suggested by @dumbestsphinx on Twitter. Thank you for the suggestion. Thank you for being a listener.
Name.
I don't either. I thank him for the suggestion. Andy, what are your thoughts on The Lobster?
Well, it isn't a straightforward movie, which I appreciate it for. It doesn't pander to the audience at all. I feel like most people that watch this for the film club would think it's a boring movie, but it was made boring for a reason, for which if you get more in detail with the movie, you'll get why. It's a satire on how relationships, society, and marriage all work. It's a social commentary movie. Um, and then like, so the only real relationship in the movie, like the whole movie's about relationships. The whole is between David, the main character, and he's actually the only character named in the entire movie. If you check the credits, so David and Rachel Weisz's character are the only actual relationship, but these set of rules that are set. We're getting to spoilers. By the way, spoilers. If you haven't seen the movie, pause it now. Watch the movie. You know, the whole ordeal. We're getting to spoilers right now. So Rachel Weisz and David's character is the only real relationship in the entire movie, and these set of rules that are set to like force relationships kind of ruin it. The whole thing where like, you know, she gets blinded and kind of ruins the whole relationship, because at first they're like super in love with each other, but after they find out and she becomes blind, it's more of like they're like wishing for what they used to have. All the other relationships in the movie are just like all fake, and they're just all together so they don't turn into an animal or what in real life, so they don't die alone, because society tells you the keys to being happy is have a spouse and kids. So true, like the movie shows that true happiness can't be forced with the set of rules. Like in the movie, you can't be forced true happiness, but it has to come organic. And that's my thoughts on the movie.
All right, so where do I start with this? I'm going to start with positives. I thought visually it was appealing. I like a lot of things that they did visually. It was filmed well. I like how they wanted to make it feel like a dystopian future. Some people have referred to this movie as absurdist style, which I would agree with, believe it or not. And I like how like all the characters wear the same clothes, regardless of their body type. Some of them wear these clothes and it doesn't fit very well. They even make a joke about it later on in the movie. So visually it was appealing. I'm always a really big guy on the score of a film. I didn't really care for the score of this movie, but I don't think I was meant to. I think that it's meant to be a little bit unsettling, and it really succeeded at that.
It's repetitive.
It's very repetitive, which I think was intended.
Yeah, it's intended to make the movie. It's trying to make the movie as bland as possible.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that I will say is it goes for a very deadpan.
Yeah, like all the shots.
Yeah,
are slow and
yeah,
it's
and
intended to be boring.
I mean, I'm okay with that. I understand that it's intended. It was intended to come across that way. It was trying to get at the monotony of everything being planned and everything being structured, and there's no real free will to anything. Thematically, I like how they explored the idea of how modern romantic relationships are built, cared for, maintained, etc. As someone who is in a long-term relationship that I'm very happy with, I don't necessarily agree with the premise behind the theme of the movie, but I do understand what they're going for, if that makes sense. I understand that they were going for this idea that people shouldn't be rushed into commitment. People shouldn't feel an obligation to be in a committed relationship or that they need to get married or anything like that. I understand as a social commentary. I just don't think that it was very well done or very well executed in this movie. Overall, that's about all I have to say about this movie that's good. I think the second half of it drags. I think that the end of the movie, leaving it open-ended, made zero sense whatsoever. They had an opportunity to tie a nice little knot at the end of it and say, you know what? He doesn't even care that she's blind, and he doesn't care that he's not blind. He doesn't care that they don't have anything in common. They always kept referring to like what do they always say it? Like my defining characteristic or something. Like the idea behind David as a character was that he would eventually grow to realize that that's worthless. It's meaningless. Like, if you love someone, you love someone. Even opposites attract sometimes. And he never grows out of that. And like, that was my most frustrating part of it.
They blinded her in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. At
the very end, he conformed to the rules.
I just hate that. I hate that. I hate that it ended that way.
He actually did at the very end, though.
And I hate that part too. I really just, I did not enjoy this movie. I thought the first hour was fun, and I thought it was interesting. I felt a little bit awkward, and I realized that there are going to be a lot of people who are saying this guy's crazy for saying this, but I'm looking at the cover of the movie right now because I actually bought this on Blu-ray. The first review they have listed on here, it says wickedly funny. I didn't laugh once watching this movie. I didn't think
comedic relief.
I didn't think it was really funny at all.
It's not a comedy. Obviously, there's comedic relief.
But wickedly funny to me means that you're gonna laugh, and I didn't laugh once. I get that it's a dark comedy, but it's still not really much of a comedy. I really wish
the way they talk is funny. Whenever he's with the psychopath, the kid was like, "Can I kiss him on the cheek?" He kicks the kid in the shin.
Yeah, I mean, it's just very deadpan. Yeah, it's very deadpan delivery, and I didn't really find it that funny. But that's just me. And like, final note, I would say I wish there was more John C. Reilly. I thought he was the one fun and funny part of the movie, and he wasn't in it as much as I would have liked. I think Colin Farrell did a great job here. I think Rachel Weisz did a good job. I think there isn't bad acting in this movie. I hate that at the end you don't really get a resolution. So I don't really know what I put 2 hours into, but overall, I wouldn't recommend people watching this. I didn't like it. Yeah. Overall, I would give it a 4 out of 10. I think there's some very redeeming qualities to it, but I'm not going to say that this is the worst movie we've ever covered here on DCD Film Club, because it's far from the worst movie. I just didn't like it.
So I gave it an 8 out of 10.
Oh, good God. You and the listeners, like, side rant here. You and the listeners, I don't know what the hell you guys watch.
What do you mean? The listeners said that it was okay.
Well, no, one. But my point is, everybody just took a big steamy pile all over Midnight Cowboy last week, and people love this. Midnight Cowboy is iconic. People still watch that 50 years later. Nobody's watching this rubbish in 2065. 4 out of 10. I don't know what movie you guys watch. I think it's you guys are so. And again, this is just a side rant. And if you're listening and you liked Midnight Cowboy and you liked 2001: A Space Odyssey and you didn't think those movies were boring, big ups to you. But to everybody who loves this and just,
I think I'm in the minority there.
Took a big steamy dump on the majority of movies that I've recommended. Enjoy your avant-garde nonsense, because that's what this is. It's tripe.
I'm super in the minority on that one, boss.
No, you aren't. This movie has like 87% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I was reading the reviews for this after I watched it, and I'm like, what movie did they watch? And even some of the positive reviews, they go, oh, the second hour fell flat. And I'm like, well, then why is it a positive review there, champ?
I don't think the second hour fell flat.
There's no conclusion. Did he poke his eye out or not? You don't know. So there's no character growth there. What's the point?
What's the point? The throwback scenes in Midnight Cowboy.
Okay, you know what? Ratso dies at the end. It means something. It means something. Something happened. You know what happened. He dies as the
open endings in a lot of
He
movies.
dies as the palm trees are passing him. It's a beautiful moment in American cinema, and you guys want to watch The Lobster. People getting turned into animals because they don't mate with somebody within 45 days. Avant-garde nonsense.
I mean, on the other end, this isn't a rewatchable movie.
Well, at least we agree on that. At least we agree on that.
It has potential to rewatch, but like one of my top rated movies on IMDb is Exhibit A. I'll never watch it again.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I like you, Andy, and I like the listeners, and I thank you for listening. We're having the greatest month we've ever had on this podcast in terms of people listening, but you guys with your movie choices, you continue to mystify me. I'm ready to just start making troll choices with my picks and just see if you guys like it. No, it did not start that way. I only made one troll pick, and that was Freddy Got Fingered, and that's because that movie meant something to me. What's your pick for next week, Andy?
This is probably the best film club ever.
I've enjoyed, by the way, I will say this to all the listeners out there. I've enjoyed, I think, every one of Andy's picks except for one, maybe.
Gerald's Game?
Okay, so that would be the one.
So mine, so it's Easter.
Oh?
Whenever this comes out.
Oh, that's right. You said this was like one of the few Easter movies ever, right?
Well, it's not an Easter movie.
Oh, okay.
At all.
Okay, I kept trying to guess what it was. I couldn't figure it out.
It's a very loosely an Easter movie just by the simple fact that there's a bunny in it. In the movie.
Yeah, you told me that and I still couldn't figure it out.
My suggestion, unfortunately, isn't on Netflix, Hulu, or any of that. It's on Tubi for free, which I have no idea what that is.
What is that?
Never heard of it, but it's $4 on YouTube, $4 on Google Play, $10 on iTunes, $10 on Vudu.
Ouch.
So my selection is Donnie Darko.
So, I'm intrigued because I've heard so many good things about this movie, and I've never seen it.
I pick another one.
Isn't it Jake Gyllenhaal?
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Drew Barrymore.
I did not know she was in it. I'm looking forward to it a little bit more now.
And the Swayze.
Well, I look forward to it.
Yeah.
I look forward to it. Good pick.
Unfortunately, that's one of the more mainstream ones. I say this every time I pick a movie or every film club. It's gonna be more obscure past this.
That's a cult classic. So you're getting someone obscure.
Every time I look at the list. The next movie may not be that obscure, and the movie after it definitely isn't. But after that, I promise, I'm gonna start picking random movies.
Yeah, I already had the movie that I wanted to pick next, but I think I might need to call an audible on that just because I don't know that I can bear people taking a big
hating on your movie.
Yeah, I can't stand people piling on.
To go on back to the
next
recommendation of The Lobster. I recommend every movie. Movies, everyone should have their own opinion on a movie, and I don't think anyone should not watch a movie based on anyone else's opinion.
I would agree with that. That's fair. That is 100% fair. So let's move on.
Someone could watch Freddy Got Fingered like you and have a great time for it. Someone can watch Freddy Got Fingered like me and absolutely hate the pile of trash that it is.
Full disclosure, watched Freddy Got Fingered the first time as a teenager on VHS.
I did. Didn't do the VHS part.
On VHS, I rented it from a movie store, and as I was watching it, I was like, this is the biggest pile of buffoonery I've ever watched, but it made me laugh, and for
You're the biggest
that
pile of buffoonery I've ever watched.
Whatever. You know what? The Lobster is the biggest pile of buffoonery I've ever watched, so there you go.
All right, to sports.
Yeah.
We covered a lot of sports already, but continuing on, not that many sports news of last week. to mainly go into like deep dive topics over.
Mhm.
But we have Tiger Woods. He's back. Won the Masters at Augusta. Biggest comeback in sports history.
It's got to be one of them. It's got to be one of them. I mean, I would put that up there. So I would put him up there with like some of the great golfers of all time, that it happens every once in a while in golf where they'll come out of the woodwork after a decade of not winning a major tournament. And then
14 for the majors, 14 years for the Masters.
I know, but like his last major win was 2008 in the US Open. Yeah. I mean, that was 11 years ago.
Was that the broken leg one?
That was the one where he blew out his knee in the middle of the round and he finished.
Yeah.
And since then, he hasn't been the same. I think that it was a great moment for golf. I'm not a Tiger Woods fan. I've always felt like I hate that the coverage in the PGA Tour is... Sometimes I feel like it's a little bit too Tiger-centric, if that makes sense. But
he also
I do
came out
say...
of nowhere in this. He wasn't in first till
the
last hour of the last day.
No, you're right. And I mean, I think that it was a great moment for golf. It was a great moment for Tiger Woods. As someone who's not necessarily a Tiger Woods fan, my favorite golfer of all time is John Daly.
Bubba Watson.
Bubba Watson's a good one. I mean, I just think that this was a great moment in sports. And it was a great thing for the PGA Tour.
Which personally I do. Solidifies him as a top 5 sports icon of all time.
Yes. Here's why. I hate to bring in the race card. I'm really not trying to make it about race, but I think that as someone who watched golf before Tiger Woods and someone who will probably watch golf after Tiger Woods, God willing, I think Tiger Woods expanded the reach of the game. And I'll never forget being a kid in middle school, going to a driving range. And after Tiger Woods won that first Masters, I remember seeing kids my age that were black at the driving range who had never been there before. And I saw people who were black, who had never cared about golf before, watching the PGA Tour. And I think that because of that alone, Tiger Woods will be, like, for me, not only one of the greats of all time, like, Tiger Woods could be purple and he'd still be considered one of the greatest golfers of all time, probably top 2. I'd put him and Jack Nicklaus at 1 and 2. And he might eventually, in my opinion, leapfrog Jack Nicklaus. But I will always look at him as like a Jackie Robinson or an Arthur Ashe, someone who was, one, independent of race, one of the greatest players to ever play their sport, but then 2, expanded the reach of the sport. And for that reason, absolutely top 5 sports icon of all time. So awesome. I hope he wins more. I hope he wins more majors. I really do. Yeah. I think it'd be great for golf right now. They need it.
Yeah. On the opposite end of comebacks, the Tampa Bay Lightning. Was it the biggest choke in sports history? Winning the President's Cup, the most wins in an NHL season ever, second most points in NHL history ever. Didn't win a playoff game and got swept in the first round.
It might be. I'm struggling to think of... I can't think of a bigger choke.
They're the only President's Cup Trophy winner to ever not win a playoff game.
Wasn't it Virginia who was a number 1 seed?
They lost their 16 seed.
Yeah. That would be the only... Didn't win at all. Yeah, but that would be the only one that I could really think of. Or... the Warriors having a 3-1 lead in the finals and blowing it.
Yeah.
That could be one, too.
3-1 lead.
But I think this tops them all.
Yeah. They didn't win a playoff game.
It's bad. And they didn't... A couple of those losses were bad losses. So that it's tough, man. Not cool if you're a Tampa Bay Lightning fan. I could imagine how, because obviously I'm here in Florida. A lot of Lightning fans are livid, livid that this would happen.
I mean, it's the President Trophy curse continuing.
Yeah, I guess so.
There hasn't been a President Trump Kofi. President Trump. Why is this? I struggle with these words. President's Cup trophy winner to win it all since 13 or 15. I don't remember. It was the Blackhawks. They won it all in 13 and 15. I don't know which one their presidents. I think it was 13. It was the blackout year where they only played like 40 games.
Ooh, that was a rough year.
Yeah. But continuing on, I have another start sit cut to ask you.
I love these.
I was going to ask you this last week. Completely forgot to put it in the show notes, so I completely forgot to ask you during the show. So this one's a fun one. Speaking of the NFL draft, as we did earlier, start, sit, cut, Jamarcus Russell, Brady Quinn, Ryan Leaf.
Ooh, that's a tough one. So
you wanted tougher ones.
Yeah. So I would cut Ryan Leaf solely on the basis of his work ethic never returned. He never showed work ethic in the NFL. I would sit Jamarcus Russell because as terrible as his work ethic was, and he did have substance abuse issues, just like Ryan Leaf, when he was in the league, they came out much later. He did attempt to come back, and Jamarcus Russell was in great shape. He just never got a call from an NFL team. So I would sit him, and I would start Brady Quinn because I thought Brady Quinn, at least he showed up every day. I don't know. It's tough. That's a tough one.
I don't have an answer for it because I never watched any of them play.
Brady Quinn, man, like, he was a Notre Dame quarterback, obviously had the pedigree. Every Notre Dame quarterback ever, everybody makes the comparison to, as I'm sure you can imagine, as a 49ers fan, they always make the comparison to Joe Montana. The truth is, there hasn't been a Joe Montana, like, since Joe Montana. Like, it doesn't matter if he comes out of Notre Dame. So, unfortunately, Brady Quinn was lumped in with, so many other Notre Dame quarterbacks. Rick Mirer was another good example. I always forget this guy's name. He played for the Panthers, and then they drafted Cam Newton after they drafted him. And he just floated around. Oh, God, what the hell is that guy's name? I always forget.
I don't know.
He played on the Bears. He started a couple games on the Bears, but it stinks, yeah. Brady Quinn was okay, though. He was okay. He had one good year with the Browns. Oh, well. So, moving on to UFC 236, a topic that I know nothing about. Andy, take it away. Talk about UFC 236.
I'm really thinking of who this player is now.
Oh.
Does his brother play for the Saints?
No.
Oh, then I don't know who it is.
No, I will find out right here. Notre Dame QB, Carolina Panthers. That's all I have to type
So,
in.
UFC 236, insane card.
Jimmy Clausen.
Jimmy Clausen. Wow, what a guy.
Yeah.
UFC 236, insane main events. Card of the year. Greatest card that I've personally ever seen. It tops the McGregor Ronda Rousey card a couple years ago where McGregor got upset by Diaz. Ronda Rousey got upset. It tops the John Jones Alexander Gustafsson card, first card. This card is insane. Two main events. The first one, Israel Adesanya versus Kevin Gastelum. The greatest UFC fight I've ever seen in my entire life. Absolutely insane. They didn't call it at the very end. They just let them keep fighting as Israel Adesanya is running a Mack truck through Kevin Gastelum at the very end. And then the next fight, Dustin Poirier through Max Holloway. Dustin Poirier was just laying it on Holloway the entire fight. They went to decision also. Just as close as a great fight with Israel Adesanya. By the end of it, Max Holloway's face was just covered in blood, completely like he was wearing face paint. Insane card. Just want to give a shout out to that. And it was a good one.
Sounds like it. When's the next one? When's the next big card?
Next big card. Like we have a insane card coming up. I think it's 239.
When's 237?
237 is in May. They're every month.
Oh,
it's once a.
I might be watching that one. So
that one's not that big. It has Rose Namajunas.
Well, I don't care how big it is. I'm gonna
strawweight fighter.
I'm gonna watch every single match. I'm gonna come here with notes. And I'm gonna be like, this guy's reach was amazing.
And Anderson Silva, all-time legends in there. Jose Aldo, all-time legends in there.
Anderson Silva, I love watching Anderson Silva fight. He's awesome.
Next insane card is July 6th, UFC 239. I was correct. Has John Jones versus Thiago Santos, Amanda Nunes versus Holly Holm. Then we have Luke Rockhold fighting Jan Blachowicz. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Junior Santos versus Francis Ngannou. We have Masvidal versus Ben Askren. Michael Chiesa versus Diego Santos or Sanchez. Sorry, insane card.
Put a little
more that'll be thrown on there.
Put a little asterisk next to John Jones, whether he can pass the drug test or not.
He definitely will.
No, he won't. So
you have John Jones, the greatest UFC fighter of all time.
He's the greatest female. He's the greatest cheater of all time when it comes to PEDs. So there you go. I'll watch that one too. Hey, what does it take to watch UFC now? Don't you just have to have like
ESPN Plus?
How much does that cost?
You have to buy the pay-per-view on ESPN Plus.
Oh, you have to buy it?
You have to have ESPN Plus first, which is like $10 or $8 a month. And then you buy the pay-per-view on there.
Oh, wait. So it doesn't come with the subscription?
Nope.
Oh.
Which is free for me because I didn't.
Well, Okay, well, moving on to our last sports topic. This was one that was really fun for me to think about. And I'll let Andy lead off. It's what is your favorite sports moment that doesn't involve your favorite team?
Yeah.
So Andy, go ahead.
A completely unbiased favorite sports moment, basically. In mine is to take you back to 2015 or 2016, the Toronto Blue Jays up against the Texas Rangers, bottom of the 7th, down by 1 or something like that. Here comes the bat, Joey Bats, Jose Bautista, in the originator of the bat flip, the biggest crowd pop ever. If you ever want goosebumps, look up this highlight. Like, it's bigger than WWE crowd pops. And that's why I love it. Just the crowd pop, insane home run, originator of the bat flip. It's a great moment overall.
Yeah. It's pretty fair. I had a couple. So, I don't know that. And I feel like this would be a good segue if we had called this topic up right after Tiger Woods. Phil Mickelson winning the 2010 Masters. I had tears running down my face because it meant so much to him and his wife who was going through cancer treatment. So I had to put that one up there. Phil Mickelson is definitely not my favorite golfer. I don't really care for him at all, really, as a golfer. Like, I don't root for him or anything like that. But I don't have anything against him. But he's not my favorite golfer. So I thought that one was one that will always stick out. If we're talking about team sports, I have to call out I believe it was the 2010 Dallas Mavericks beating the Miami Heat in the NBA Finals. It was LeBron James' first year there. 2012, okay. So it was LeBron James' first year with the Heat.
2011.
Okay, 2011. It was LeBron James' first year with the Heat. He's obviously teaming up with Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh. Everybody had them winning the championship. No doubter, right? Yeah. Dallas Mavericks, nobody thought they were going to get there. They didn't think they were going to get past the Lakers. They get to the finals, and they won. They won. They had a better team. They got remarkable performances from the likes of Jason Terry, a guy who had bounced around the league, Deshaun Stevenson, a guy who had bounced around the league, including my favorite Orlando Magic, Brian Cardinal, another guy, the custodian. Peja Stojakovic was on that team as a bench role player, you know, and even what's the guy's name? Oh, I can't think of his name. Tyson Chandler. Tyson Chandler was another guy who just never lived up to expectations. Drafted number 2 overall by the Chicago Bulls. Had been traded a number of times. Almost got traded to Oklahoma City. And they nullified the trade because they thought that his foot was jacked up. So he ended up getting traded to Dallas. And that year wins an NBA Finals with Dirk Nowitzki and the rest of the Mavs. Thought it was a great coaching performance by Rick Carlisle. J.J. Barea was another high-profile role player on the team. But it was led by Dirk Nowitzki, and it was just such a great sports moment for me. So that would be my favorite. I will also say, conversely, a couple years prior, I want to say it was maybe 2007 or 2008, the 8 seed Golden State Warriors go into the playoffs and beating the Dallas Mavericks in the first round as an 8 seed. Yeah, it was like 06.
Baron Davis Warriors.
Yeah, it was Baron Davis, and Baron Davis, Steven Jackson. There were, I think Monte Ellis was on that team. There were a lot of good players on that team, and it was a really cool moment for sports. But I would have to say the 2011 Mavs finals win. It just felt so good, man.
My honor mentions would be the Minneapolis Miracle 2 years ago.
That's a good
Saints,
one. That's a good one.
Stephon Diggs. Or the kick 6 from the Iron Bowl a couple years ago. Alabama, Auburn. Kick is up. Chris Davis catches it. Chris Davis gets a block. And then Auburn wins. Huge upset.
Another good one. The what was the year where Auburn returned like a field goal that fell short?
That's
at
what
the end.
The kick 6
That
is.
one, okay, yeah, that was a great moment. That I don't think you can ever forget that one. Like or even like some NFL moments. Like, remember the Giants made the really poor decision of punting the football to Deshaun Jackson instead of kicking it out of bounds. And then he runs it back for a touchdown.
Meadowlands too.
Yeah. And then, like, it had playoff implications. The Giants missed the playoffs that year because of that. Like, it was but it was such a cool moment. Like, those are the ones that I don't even care who you root for. If you're not a Giants fan, that's a great moment.
One that's in the WWE world last year when Becky Lynch broke her nose.
Yeah. Made it feel real.
Yeah.
It made it feel real. I love those moments. Those, you know, it's funny you mentioned that about pro wrestling. The moments that people always remember are the ones that blur the lines. The ones that people go, is it real or is it not real? Or the moments where you're like, you know what? I know the finishes are predetermined, but that was not how it was supposed to go. Those are the ones that stand out. The unpredictable
Jeff Hardy
moments.
earring.
Oh, I can't say I like that one, but it was it's like it just it's squeamish. Can't do that. Not a fan.
I'm looking at this list of top moments from last year. Max Muncy's World Series home run.
I mean, if you want to go old school, Bucky Dent's home run.
Or who's the Blue Jays guy?
Joe Carter.
Yeah.
Joe Carter's walk-off home run in I believe it was the 92 World Series. I don't care what anybody says. That is every kid that ever played baseball. That is their dream. I'm up in the World Series, and I have the chance to have a walk-off home run.
Or, you know, the greatest sports moment of all time that you haven't said. the catch. The catch.
That's a great moment.
Which is biased. Or
No,
you could say the...
No, I agree with you on that. I think that's one of the greatest football moments of all time. I know a lot of people will point to the helmet catch. I don't care about that one as much. I think it's important, but I think the catch, there's a reason it's the catch.
Yeah, it's called the catch for a reason.
Exactly. Iconic players.
The biggest sports moment, Jesse Owens, 1933 Olympics.
That's a big moment.
Or 1936 Olympics.
There's so many. It was hard to pick just one, so I tried to keep it recent because I realized me talking about like Joe Carter in the '92 World. I watched that as a kid on TV.
The Miracle on Ice, the Rumble in the Jungle.
Yeah, there's so many good ones over the years that.
Something that happened on your 12th birthday, Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point game.
You're funny, man. You're funny. So, great topic. Great topic. That's going to do it for episode 25 of the DCD podcast. Hard to believe we've gotten through 25 of these. It's quarter of the way to 100. Real quick, before I let Andy talk about Boston sports and the 49ers for a bit, I do want to remind you guys that if you're watching the video version of this podcast, there is the audio-only version on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, you name it. We're out there on everything. You can even listen to us direct.
Everything but SoundCloud.
Yeah, you can listen to us direct on deadchannelduo.com. I know there was an issue with Stitcher. We've resolved that as of today. Sorry for the delay on that. I don't know what happened, but Stitcher support was awesome in getting everything set up. T-shirts. You can buy T-shirts for the podcast in the link in the description. It's on iTunes. It's also on YouTube or any of the audio-only versions. There's a direct link to buy a T-shirt for the show. Every single one of those really helps us out in covering the cost of the podcast. And finally, if you want to leave us a review on iTunes, we haven't had any reviews on iTunes for a while now. But if you do leave one, make sure to put your name in there in a written review. And I'll give you a shout out on the podcast and tell you a great fact about yourself. I'll try to come up with something fun to talk about regarding you. Anyway, Andy, what do you want to talk about in terms
Bruins.
of... Yeah,
we
Bruins.
tie the series up 2-2.
Okay.
By the time this is out, we probably lost the series. But 2-2 against Toronto, a huge rival of ours past couple of years. Huge game winning 6-4. Almost choked it. That happened earlier today as of recording this.
Yeah.
And then my Boston Celtics up 2-0 on the Pacers right now. Probably the series is over by the time this comes out. Where's all that talk about Damian Lillard being better than Kyrie? It seems kind of quiet today.
Yeah.
I don't know why it seems quiet. And then, Nick Bosa, welcome to the team, I guess. DC 25.
Yep. That's going to do it. Thanks for listening.